Government shutdown is bringing new pain to federal workers who've already endured months of cuts from the Trump administration. During the shutdown, about 750,000 federal employees are expected to be furloughed each day, while thousands more are required to keep working without pay. But OMB director and co-architect of Project 2025, Russell Vought, has upped the stakes by threatening to carry out mass firings any day now. Two unions representing federal workers filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration this week, asking a judge to stop the, quote, cynical use of federal employees as a pawn in congressional deliberations. Joining us now, the leader of one of those unions, Everett Kelly, national president of the American Federation of Government Employees, along with Ashaki Robinson, president of AFG Local 476. She's also been furloughed from her job as a social science analyst with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And Yolanda Jacobs, president of AFGE Local 2883. She's been furloughed from her job as a health communication specialist with the Centers for Disease Control. Thank you all very much for coming to the weekend. I want to play another federal worker for you all right now. This is a federal worker in Utah, Robert Lawrence, National Treasury Employees Union. This is what he had to say Wednesday in Ogden, Utah.
Most of us use our first paycheck to cover our mortgage or our rent, and we don't have anything left over from that. So when they threaten our paychecks, you know, that's very personal. That cuts really deep. I know there are some people on Capitol Hill there who think that we should be able to save money. Well, when our paychecks don't even cover our rent or our mortgage, that's just not possible.
So, Ms. Jacobs, since you are not here at the table, I will start with you. What are you hearing from federal workers about how this shutdown is impacting them? How is this shutdown impacting you?
Well, for most of us here, well, for a lot of us here, I'm not going to say most of us, but for quite a few of us here, we look at the easiest week was this week, and every week afterwards, we expect it to become more difficult, especially as any reserves we might have start to be deplenished. And it is like the gentleman said a little bit earlier, a lot of federal employees pay their mortgages and their rent at the first of the month. And seeing as the second check that we are going to receive next Friday is not going to be a full check, I think that's where it's going to start setting in for a lot of people, especially those who are having really tight times now.
Mr. President, the thing that I've heard over and over and over again from federal workers is the federal workers in this country, and they're not just in D.C., they're all over the country. Most of them are not in Washington, D.C., which is very important for people to understand. They feel like they've been in a shutdown for a year. Because at the end of the day, shutdowns are about uncertainty. Shutdowns are about not knowing if you're going to have a job or get a paycheck. And this White House and this administration have been firing federal workers for months. They have lorded over federal workers that if you step out of line, you're gone, despite that not being the fact in the old days. And there are allegedly protections for folks that work in our federal government. So speak to the idea, the concept, and the feeling that federal workers have been under for the last 8 months of this administration, and this just being more of the same.
Well, you're exactly right, and thank you for having us today. But these last 9 months has been devastating for federal employees. Now, they say a shutdown, I say it's a shakedown, okay? Because, you know, these employees have experienced time after time, these last few months, you know, belittling, names callings. They have experienced dismantling of the agencies. And now you're talking about a shutdown, you know, that threatens the very livelihood of these employees. And they are stressed. They are stressed to the point that they don't know what to expect even next week. And you're right. These are not faceless bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. 85% of the federal workforce do not work in Washington, D.C., but they work throughout the communities in America. And and people don't even sometimes know who they are.
Right.
But they're the people that's taking care of the veterans, right? They're the people that are making sure that the skies that we fly in are safe. And they're the ones that are making sure that the food we eat and the air we breathe is good and safe.
The amount of pressure federal workers have been under this year has truly been astounding. And in the first Trump administration as well, that was when the groundwork for what we're seeing now was laid. But Ashaki, I want to ask you about the unprecedented ways the administration is now using civil service to levy political messages. They're using this shutdown as a way to extol their political messaging through you all. The Housing and Urban Development website had a backsplash that had a very explicitly political message on it, blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Workers in other agencies reported to MSNBC and other outlets that there were out-of-office messages being sent against their knowledge and their own doing that also blamed Democrats for what we're seeing right now. What did you hear internally before you were furloughed on October 1st about how the civil service would be utilized in this political way, and what kind of damage does it do to not just the public and the public's perception of what you all do, but to morale internally? I mean, there's a lot of incredible reporting about how federal employees go to such far lengths to avoid Hatch Act violations. They do not want to be involved in politics at all. What kind of damage does this do to the future of government and public service?
It's a lawless land right now. What's going on? The agencies, our agency is violating the law all the time. They don't give us basic information about employees when they're removing them. They're removing our whistleblowers. When you go onto the HUD at Work website, I work at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. They have a splash page on every page that you go to that says something political. We're not allowed to do that.
Do we have a picture of that so our viewers can see what that looks like?
I think we just showed that.
We did. Okay.
Yeah. There it is.
It's unprecedented to have this, and I've been here for every shutdown for the past 19 years. This is not normal. There's nothing normal that's going on right now. They have been dismantling our organization since January 21st. Employees have left. We've lost 2,300 people from our organization. 2,300 federal employees left because they were bullied, because they felt as if they were being targeted. They didn't want to lose their insurance if they had been riffed or anything like that. And it has people are afraid. People are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to talk about what is going on in these agencies as they're being dismantled. So yes, right now we're going through a shutdown. We will not have paychecks. No normal person thinks that this is something that should be happening. But right now, we're at an unprecedented time where everyone is doing their best, but we're working with someone who are bad actors. They don't work in good faith. They don't work in good faith at the table in the organization, in the agency I work with. So I can't imagine that they're working in good faith at much larger levels. I can't afford to lose a paycheck, not one paycheck. I can't afford it to be late. Regardless of how much I make, I don't know that there's anyone who can afford to just take a break for a month or 2 months or a couple of weeks or a couple of days without worrying about what's going to be going on to their family and what's going to be going on with them. And as someone who's from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan, and when I go back home, I see the devastation that's happened over the past few years with all of our industries changing, with automobiles leaving this country. So the devastation that's happening right now, regardless of the shutdown, is impactful for everyone. When Congress says that they want to get to the table and work these things out, federal employees are always used as a pawn in this process. And I understand everyone at the table, when everyone is coming to the table to actually work towards something that will help the American people. It's not happening right now. And I don't want to go another day without working, but I also understand why the government is shut down. I have family members who rely on Obamacare, I have friends who are looking at what could possibly happen to the cost of health care for them. And it makes me understand that our sacrifice as federal employees is a sacrifice for America. We're Americans. Everyone that works in the federal government is an American, and we are doing our level best to make sure that the mission is met We can't do it if we're not resourced properly. We can't do it if we don't have enough employees there. We can't do it if we have our agency working against us all the time. And that's what's happening. So even though we are shut down, we have been going through a shutdown since January 21st. It has not stopped. And the only way that we have to do things that are traumatic, things that people say, why would you do that? Why would you want to risk that? Everything is at risk right now.
I want to pull up some sound from OMB Director Russell Vought, who in 2023 talked about causing trauma on federal workers.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all of the rules against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so. We want to put them in trauma.
And so, Ms. Jacobs, that's Russell Vought, now the OMB director, saying we want to put them in trauma. And it's important that people hear that, especially given what Ms. Robinson said before we went to break before about how government employees have felt bullied, they felt targeted, there's no one working in good faith. And I'm just wondering the impact on you and your members, knowing that that person we just heard, your future is in his hands.
That's a scary thought. I mean, because as far as we've seen, all the evidence points to the fact that he is making good on his threat. Sometimes I actually feel like he is the one that is running the country because everything that he has said has been brought to fruition, and he definitely has placed our lives in upheaval. He has gotten the trauma that he was looking for, and that trauma continues unabated. No matter where he goes or the administration goes, they seem to be having their way, and it is affecting federal employees because we are the ones that have been made the scapegoats. They came in and they villainized us, and they did it to the point where there were enough people who were saying they are getting exactly what they deserve. These are lazy people, when the reality is, if we're not here, there's no one to provide oversight over taxpayer dollars, and they can do whatever they want. And I think that that has a lot to do with it. Get rid of the federal employees that provide the oversight, that provide the recommendation and the science. If you can get rid of all of those people, you can go rogue. And that's what it feels like, that this administration is a rogue administration.
President Kelly, something I can't get out of my head, as people are watching the treatment of the folks in your union, the folks like Ashaki, the folks like Yolanda, why would anyone want to join the ranks of the federal government ever again? How do you think this is going to impact the future of the federal workforce?
Well, I think that's the intent. I think that, Mr. Vought and this administration intend on making people believe that this is the worst place in the world to work and to be employed. And the idea is to get them to the point that they don't want to be a part of the federal system. However, I think that still people believe in doing what they do. Because, I'm a veteran myself. I served in the military, and I took that uniform off and I put on another one because I wanted to provide a service to the American people. And I think that you're not going to eliminate that. I mean, that's the idea. And the thing that get me when you think of Russell Vought, who was the architect of Project 2025, and the president said during his campaign, I don't know nothing about it. I don't know anything about it. But it tells you of the integrity of our leaders, right? Because just about every move that has been made has been toward Project 2025. And I think that the American people need to understand that. But the other thing is this, AFGE is going to be here. We've been here for 93 years, and we're going to continue to represent our members. We're going to continue to make sure that they have the protection that they need in order to perform the services for the American people.
And by the way, that's the same Russell Vought who has been, quote, according to Senator Mike Lee of Utah, has been dreaming about this moment, preparing for this moment since puberty. Everett Kelly, Ashaki Robinson, Yolanda Jacobs, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today and for your service.